Hey guys, good morning. I'm planting up a new area in my garden. So this is the spot right here, kind of this corner area. So this area was our rose garden. It still kind of is, but there were roses all over right in here, kind of like lining the edge. And then they kind of came back about this far. But you can see right above me, there's a huge maple tree. And I'm guessing that when they initially planted these roses, there was a lot more sun because the tree was a lot smaller. But as the tree has grown, it's casted more shade on this area, particularly this corner. And the roses need a lot more sun than they were getting, so they weren't very happy. They were growing really tall and lanky and they weren't blooming very well. So I thought this would be a good corner to start in. So we dug those roses out and they will be rehomed either in friends or family's gardens, or I might find a place here for them to live. But I want to plant some things that'll be happy in this corner. This sidewalk right in front of me, it leads up to one of our back entranceways. So I really want it to be something beautiful because I walk by it multiple times a day. And I don't really want to tackle the whole area at once just because I'm not ready to. So I thought just doing the small manageable chunk would be a good place to start. So the first plant I'm going to be using in this area is this beautiful Crimson Queen Japanese maple. I really wanted this color and this leaf structure in this spot, but you might be thinking that this is kind of an odd place to put a tree right underneath a tree. But in our high desert heat, they cannot take the sun. It burns their foliage. So this is actually a perfect spot because usually there's dappled sunlight kind of streaming through the leaves of the tree above. It is an overcast day, which makes it beautiful for planting, but usually there's some sun coming in. So my next layer of plants are these beautiful hydrangeas. I've got 3 of them here. These are called Tuff Stuff Ah-Ha. Beautiful lace cap with double blooms that are huge. I love the color. I think the size is perfect. Then I might be using this bird bath from Henry's studio. I think this might be a really pretty piece to kind of tuck into this area. So what I want to do is lay everything out because I'm so visual, like I have to see how it's going to kind of look. And sometimes I'll put my pots out and leave them for a couple days and just kind of stare at them and decide if I like the placement of everything before I get everything planted. So let me get all of these things laid out in this area and then we'll talk a little more detail about the plants. All right guys, I got them all placed and I gotta say I absolutely love it. I think it's gonna be so pretty to see these grow and fill in, and I can't wait to put more stuff around them. So like I said, they're called Tuff Stuff Ah-Ha. They grow about 24 to 36 inches tall and wide, which makes them a great shrub because they're not enormous. You can find a little spot in your flower bed, tuck them in and let them do their thing. And I think they're gonna be perfect around this bird bath because they might grow, you know, as tall or maybe a little bit taller if they really like this spot than the bird bath. So I might have to come in with maybe 1 or 2 stepping stones and elevate the bird bath a little bit, but I don't really want to see the whole thing. I just kind of want to see this hovering slightly above kind of the flowering foliage. I think it'll be a really pretty look. So these like a sunny location to part sun, and in my climate, I live in high desert, it's very hot and dry here. They benefit from being in a protected location so they don't get the hot afternoon sun. They need at least 4 hours of sun in order to flower the best and repeat flower and do, you know, be the healthiest. So I think this spot will be great because like I said, it gets morning sun that streams in, and then it gets kind of filtery sun through the rest of the day, but it never gets the hot sun. I know hydrangeas can be a little bit intimidating. In fact, I'm still intimidated by them because I live in a climate that they don't particularly love. So it takes a little forethought in terms of placement, you know, making sure the lighting is correct, making sure they have enough water, that I amend my soil because we are very, very alkaline here. And though hydrangeas are actually more adaptable than we think they are, it's just one of those things that I have to kind of think about. But I think the biggest struggle with hydrangeas is knowing when to prune them. I think that's what most people struggle with. We have put together a more comprehensive video about when and how to prune each type of hydrangea. We'll link that down below. But as far as this one goes, this is a hydrangea serrata or mountain hydrangea. Now, hydrangea serratas typically just bloom on old wood, but the cool thing about the Tuff Stuff series is that they bloom on both old wood and new wood. So what that means is if you have a cold snap late in the fall and it happens to damage the buds that it's already formed for next year's blooms, this plant will still bloom on the new growth that it flushes out in spring. And same goes for deer. If you have deer grazing through your garden and it's popping off buds and eating them, this plant should still keep on producing buds and still bloom for you throughout the year. The other interesting thing about hydrangea serratas is that their buds are actually fairly cold tolerant, more so than like your hydrangea macrophylla, because these ones are native to a mountainous region in Japan. So they've been adapted, they've adapted to the colder temperatures. So they're really reliable bloomers, like in a zone 5 and 6. And I live in a zone 5, so that's really great news for me. And the last thing I wanted to to mention about these before I get them in the ground is that this is the first time I'm planting this variety. In fact, these will be available in garden centers next year. I think they're available online already, but they are supposedly a really great rebloomer. Like, they put tons of energy into forming new buds and blooming all throughout the season. So once they start blooming in summer, they should keep on going all the way through fall. So I think it's a great pick for this spot. Since I walk by it multiple times a day, I should be able to enjoy blooms for months and months. All right, so let me run back here and tell you a little bit about this Crimson Queen maple, and then we'll get all these plants in the ground. As far as this Crimson Queen Japanese maple, there's not a whole lot to it. It's a zone 5 through 8. They're very easy to grow. They grow about 10 feet tall and wide, and I don't mind if it gets 10 feet wide in this spot. In fact, I think that would be beautiful, but obviously I don't want it growing 10 feet tall because I've got another maple tree right above it. But they're very easy to size control because they don't grow really fast. So once it gets to a height that I like it, I'll start topping any branches that grow up. So if I get, you know, a weird branch kind of starting to grow up, I'll just clip it off, and that'll force the tree to kind of stay lower and grow outward. So if you're not prepared for that type of work, like kind of keeping on it like once or twice a season, then I would probably put this in a spot in the garden where you can let it get to its full size. So let's just get these in and see how they look. All right, I got them all in the ground and I think they look great. I did decide that I'm going to make this a 2-part video series because there's other things that I want to plant in this area, and I decided to wait to mulch until all of it's done. But the important thing I did today was to make sure I had proper water to all the plants. So you can see there is an existing drip system in this area that the previous owners put in. There's brown tubing. Looks like it was adapted from maybe a sprinkler, which is not ideal. So it's something we'll probably be changing in the future. In fact, we're going to be widening this walkway at some point down the road. So that's probably when that will happen. But this drip system works okay for now. So the brown tubing is 1/2 inch, and it's the type that has holes every 18 inches. And I know it goes throughout this whole area, but I don't know exactly where because it's been through, you know, it's been here for years, and it's had lots of mulch on top of it, so I can't see a lot of it. So I made sure to run an individual emitter to each one of the plants so that I know that they're getting good water. So to do that's really easy. You just get a little, I use a 2 gallon per hour emitter, and you can just punch right into that existing 1/2 inch line and then run a little tube to the root ball of the plant. So it's very simple to do, and it's just kind of peace of mind. However, I will be making sure to give these any supplemental water that they may need when it gets really hot outside. So I'll just be keeping my eye on them, and that's really important to do the first season and even into the second season, just to make sure your plants are happy. So size-wise, I think these hydrangeas are great. In fact, because these stay so small, they're a type that you should never have to prune on. You know, if you put them in a spot where they can just grow to their 2 to 3 feet size, which they can here if they want to, I shouldn't have to be doing any maintenance on them except for maybe cutting out any dead wood in early spring if they have any. So anyway, guys, like I said, I'm going to be adding some more plants, some perennials and annuals in this area. So make sure that you're subscribed so you see the next one up in this series. And I'm sure that there's going to be more as we get to tackling, you know, the rest of this space. I just wanted to show you how you can kind of tackle a small corner, a manageable size piece. It doesn't have to be a huge grand plan. You don't have to know even what you're gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna be doing with the rest of this bed, but I'm gonna be working on it as time and budget allows. And I think that makes it a little less overwhelming, a little bit more manageable. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.